The real question isn't whether Manchester United are tactically misusing Kobbie Mainoo, as I think the majority of tactically aware fans would admit that Mainoo doesn't have an optimal role in this current system. But the real question is, why is this the case? And that's a question that I'm going to be answering over this video, as I think this has had a significant impact on Mainoo's development stagnating over the past 12 months or so. But my thesis goes back to not just Amorim's system not being optimal for Mainoo, but also Ten Hag before him. Boiling it down into one sentence is essentially like forcing a La Masia style midfielder like a Pedri or a Gavi into playing in a role and a system that is built for a Camavinga or a Valverde. And this brings us on to the real issue. Mainoo's skillset thrives in possession-heavy football, where rhythm and control are prioritised over fast vertical transitions. United's current approach of quick attacks, long passes, frequent turnovers, and high transition dependence forces Mainoo into positions where his best attributes, his close control under pressure, his tempo-setting play, as well as his ability to progress the ball through the centre of the pitch via incisive passes between the lines, are all being sub-optimised, with his frequent usage in advanced positions such as the left-sided attacking midfielder slot, also negating his ability to take advantage of these attributes simply from the areas of the pitch that he's now picking the ball up in. And that's why when you're currently watching for United, he does look fairly ordinary, at least in comparison to the Mainoo we saw when he first broke through under Ten Hag at United, or even playing for England under Southgate in the lead up to and during Euro 2024. And so by the end of this video, you'll see why Kobbie Mainoo's role in the midfield needs to be rethought, and why the Mainoo v Camavinga comparisons I brought up in a previous video reveals far more than just stats alone. And this leads us on to three main questions. Firstly, what about the key attributes within Mainoo's skill set leads me to the conclusion that he's been misprofiled not just by managers but also by the fan base as well. Secondly, beyond just saying that he doesn't fit the system, why exactly did Kobbie Mainoo shine for England but he struggled at Manchester United under Ruben Amorim? And thirdly, what exactly is Kobbie Mainoo's best role in central midfield, and why exactly do I say he's a La Masia style of player as opposed to a Valverde, Camavinga or Baleba type? Well, before I get into that, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to okjersey.com. They've got the 25-26 Manchester United jerseys, as well as a variety of different jerseys from other clubs' international sides, as well as retro shirts as well. With OK Jersey also allowing you to pick up high quality football shirts from just £15, plus free shipping across Europe for all orders over £45. They sent me over these new release alternative Manchester United jerseys from this season, as well as a long sleeved retro home shirt from the 92-93 season with Cantona 7 on the back. If you use code ALANTIS at checkout, you'll get a discount, so I'll leave a link in the description and in the comment section below. So the fundamental issue is that Mainoo doesn't and hasn't suited our style of play, either in or out of possession, that he's been used in throughout his Manchester United career. And in Ruben Amorim's system particularly, if he is to be used, he pretty much has to be used in a suboptimal role, with his responsibilities both in and out of possession, as well as the overall ball progression strategy, not being optimised to extract the best qualities out of his skill set as would be ideal. See, when you watch Mainoo currently, he doesn't do anything wrong, but he also doesn't seem to impact the game as you know he can. See, at the moment he kind of reminds me of Tom Cleverley during Sir Alex Ferguson's last two seasons, being very good at connecting play with short and sharp passes, but even if he was to be playing at his most effective, he seems to appear only as an effective cog when playing in a well-oiled machine, rather than someone who impacts a game on his own, as we see from Bruno Fernandes, whilst he's also not really a high-energy, all-action midfielder, which you'll see statistically in just a minute when I compare him to both Baleba and Camavinga. And I think this issue was there, but to a lesser degree, under Ten Hag as well. See, the reason I think Mainoo fails to impact games, as we know he can, is because so far during his short Manchester United career, but specifically under Ruben Amorim now, he's being used in systems that are predominantly reliant on direct vertical passes in order to progress the ball, and quick transitional attacks in order to create. Whereas if you analyse Mainoo's skill set in isolation, I think he's more akin to a La Masia style of central midfielder, being optimal in a possession system that prioritises control and on average will use higher volume, shorter passing sequences in each attack, as opposed to the primary ball progression strategies that we've seen under Ten Hag and now with Ruben Amorim, which prioritise a lot more long vertical passes that lead to a high frequency of turnovers. But what exactly is the reason behind this? Well, I think it's because at this point in his career and development, Mainoo is not a highly efficient ball progressor. Now that doesn't mean that he's not an effective ball progressor, it simply means that he needs to take more touches of the ball and have more passes on average in order to impact the game as effectively as we know he can. And this is why I think he's been at his best for England, in Southgate's possession system that was heavily focused on retaining possession, utilising a greater amount of horizontal passes and longer passing sequences in general, aided by the comparative individual quality in possession that England had, led to a more methodical and controlled possession strategy, compared to a greater amount of vertically direct passes, utilising a quicker transitioning ball progression style, which just naturally is going to lead to a higher frequency of turnovers, as we have seen with Ten Hag and now Ruben Amorim, with both being forced to adapt their ball progression strategies due to issues with playing out of pressure, going long and direct with the centre-backs or goalkeeper a lot earlier on in the build-up phase. See, Mainoo stylistically is closer to traditional Barcelona type of players such as Fermin Lopez, Pedri, Gavi, Xavi or Iniesta than he is to Real Madrid's current type of central midfielders Valverde, Camavinga and Tchouaméni. But I also think that Mainoo's optimal role in central midfield comes when he's able to drop into deeper areas, playing more as a deeper line playmaker, almost as a metronome in the system like a Zubimendi or a Kimmich, being able to get on the ball and having the space to turn forward, dictating the tempo of play in front of the opposition's midfield line during settled possession in the middle third, rather than being someone who looks to take advantage of transitions, either through progressing the ball forward vertically, or winning possession via getting to loose or second balls, or just being there when required to break up opposition attacks. You want Mainoo to be getting more touches on the ball in settled possession than he currently gets, allowing him to have a greater influence on the game via tempo setting and ball progression through the centre, because when he isn't able to drop into deeper areas and play this type of role in a more controlled and methodical possession style, he doesn't provide enough ball progression in terms of sheer volume per 90. And this is compounded by the fact that right now for Manchester United, he's often receiving the ball high, between the lines, and unlike Bruno Fernandes, his skill set doesn't have that elite level vision or passing ability to create via long passes or through balls, nor does Mainoo have the explosive ball carrying ability of a Matthias Fernandes in order to drive forward into the space presented, in order to not just progress the ball beyond the midfield line, but also look to commit the defensive line as well. And he also doesn't have the high level athleticism off the ball movement in order to exploit horizontal space between the opposition's defensive line with forward runs from the half space areas as we do see with Mason Mount. And so when Mainoo is used between the lines in these advanced areas, more often than not when he receives a ball, he simply just ends up retaining possession with a sideways or backwards pass. Still highly efficient when it comes to ball circulation, but just not progressing the ball forward into dangerous areas enough via either his passes or his carries. And you can see this quite clearly statistically when you compare Mainoo to Camavinga and Baleba. And I have just uploaded that statistical analysis for free onto my Patreon, so if you are a free member you should be able to get access to that, and you can also get a 7-day free trial in order to get access to other plot graphs and circle charts as well. So I'll leave it linked in the description, comment section, above, and on the end screen after the video. And if you do want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to okjersey.com. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a 10% discount. I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments section below.